don't fix what's broken, I agree. But let's fix what's not broken. But I agree we can fix what is broken. And the problem he had can be fixed short of a single payer system, in my personal opinion.
My name is Tom Dale. I come from the health insurance industry. So
there we go. Now, this is the stump the Congressman.
I have three questions.
I'll repeat it. He said he comes from the insurance industry.
I come from the health insurance industry. I've been doing it 32 years, 58 years in the valley here.
Hold the microphone closer.
58 years. My three questions. Number one, this is all about we the people, and it's called the Constitution.
Yeah.
Okay? Secondly, since when, if you read the Constitution, the government has separation of state? Since when? Right now, health insurance is governed by every state in the country, okay? Since now we're talking about the government taking it over, A, who's amending the Constitution here, number one? Number two, the second question I have for you, in the past 9 months, the pharmaceutical companies, Merck Medical, Glaxo, Upjohn, have donated over $150 million to the Obama administration. First time in history that's ever happened. And it's happened. Why? Because in my opinion, they're going to spend $150 million to collect $300 billion when this bill goes through. Okay? Third question that I have as well is if I take a look at any government takeover of any industry at any time of our history, look at Amtrak, it still costs us $14 billion a year. The Postal Services just announced $28 billion this year. The auto industry, we gave them $90 billion and they couldn't sell any cars. So now we have a rebate program where we buy the cars with our own money, okay? The banks, we've given $132 billion, okay? And there's still no loaning going on in this country, and I'm on the board of a bank, okay, a nationwide bank. So my question is where can you guarantee us that my children and my children's children, and I do have a daughter going into middle school right now, why? I'm not sure, frankly. Okay. Secondly, how can you assure us that's not going to bankrupt this country? Thank you.
Let me try to repeat those questions for people who didn't hear them. Number one was, where in the Constitution does the federal government get this authority? Number two was, isn't it troubling that the drug industry in America has given $150 million to the Obama administration? Number three was, how can I guarantee that if we hand this function over to the government, it will cost less and or not bankrupt the country?
The country's bankrupt already!
Let me try to take them in that order. Number one, I think the gentleman raises a very good point about the Constitution. He pointed out that healthcare is regulated at the state level now, and that I think he would argue that is what the Constitution envisions, but he would also admit to me, and it is true, that a number of years ago, the federal government passed what was called the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. Employee Retirement Income Security Act. Where in that did you hear the word healthcare? No. You didn't hear it. But that law governs 70% of all health care in America. It governs all employer-provided health care. You raise a good question. It's unconstitutional, arguably, but there are lots of things we're doing that's unconstitutional. My response to that is, I drop a bill every year that we require every member of Congress to recite in the first section of every bill they introduce the specific power of the Constitution granted to the Congress to do that thing. I'm going to take question number 3 second and then come back to question number 2 because it's the one I'm most concerned about. Question number 3 was, how can I guarantee this will not bankrupt the federal government, and why do we believe it'll cost less if the federal government does it? I'll answer the second question rhetorically. I want somebody in the room to tell me a function that the federal government took over that cost less after they took it over. Answer, none. There we go. This guy's got it over here with a 0. I think we can't guarantee that it won't bankrupt the country, and indeed, I think it isn't, for example, bankrupting France. The paper covered that just a couple days ago. One of my good conservative colleagues in Washington is Michelle Bachmann of Tennessee. Michelle Bachmann will tell you from personal experience that they passed what's called 10 care. No, I'm thinking Marsha Blackburn. Marsha Blackburn, thank you. And Michelle Bachmann. Marsha Blackburn is from Tennessee. They passed 10 Care, and it nearly bankrupted the state of Tennessee. So the answer is it probably will bankrupt us if we pass it. One of the reasons we shouldn't pass it. Now let's talk about the drug companies. The question that a member of Congress gets asked more often than any other is, what can I do about it? What can I do, Congressman? I've already emailed my congressman. I've already emailed my senator. I've sent them 10 emails. They don't respond, or they respond every time with the exact same form letter. I'm frustrated. What can I do? My answer on this one, unload on the drug companies. Literally, go home tonight and unload on the drug companies. America's pharmaceutical industry is running, I believe, somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 million, maybe $50 million worth of advertisements this August promoting Obamacare. You're paying for it. I'm paying for it. The #1 lobbyist for pharma in the United States is a former United States Congressman from Louisiana named Billy Tozan. Billy Tozan was chairman of the Commerce Committee as a Republican while I served on the committee. He had previously been a Blue Dog Democrat. He converted to a Republican when Republicans took the majority, and he's now the #1 lobbyist for pharma. Unload on pharma. They stand to get rich out of the government funding healthcare in America. This is a conflict of interest. Those advertisements are an outrage, and don't just go at their national lobbyist. Go at their salespeople, go at their company reps, go at your doctor, say to your doctor, he better be complaining, because they got no business spending millions of dollars of our money telling us we ought to accept a bill that's going to just continue to make them rich. That's my opinion. Somebody down here is next. The gentleman with the camera. Oh, now this is getting difficult. He's trying to film and question. You got to choose. Sometimes you have to make up your mind. But finally decide. Go after one and leave the other behind.
Two-part question.
Okay?
I have a
Closer.
two-part question. With all due respect, sir, there are criminals in both the Republican and Democrat parties.
Absolutely.
And sir, let me finish. Thank you. What are we going to do as Americans to have a peaceful revolt and get the criminal scum out of office? Secondly, and with all due respect, sir, because I do respect you on many issues, how are we to be assured that you're not just another one of the crooks that's taking bribes and trying to cover your own ass?
Look at his record!
Thank you. Okay, two-part question. I think in a certain way you're doing the Take Back America part right now. Some people say, look, I'm going to vote against every incumbent. If that's how you feel, I think there's a legitimate argument for doing that. One of the issues was term limits. Could we get term limits enacted? It was one of the promises. We have, some people point out, we also have term limits. It's the vote. There's been a lot of turnover in Congress during my tenure there, but I do want to, I'll get in a little trouble with this, but I want to candidly admit that he's right about some points he makes. There are corrupt Democrats and corrupt Republicans in government and in the United States Congress today. Well,
John Shadegg is not one of them!
she said John Shadegg is not one of them. Thank you. That's my sister. Well, one of them just got convicted, William Jefferson. By the way, my response there is finally they convicted a Democrat. But if you look, if you want to, I won't name them, but what I will tell you is if you do your own research on the issue that, to his credit, Jeff Flake has made a single cause, the corruption of the earmark process in the United States Congress, you will find the corrupt members. You will find there's a cycle where members go out, somebody in their district has a business, or somebody out of their district has a business. That somebody asks for an earmark to a private company on a no-bid basis, and some lobbying firm lobbies for that earmark. The earmark gets created. They run into the tens of millions to hundreds of millions of dollars, and the congressman gets the earmark, the businessman gets the business, and the congressman gets donations back from the businessman and the lobbyist.